Hello everyone, my name is Rob, welcome to Kinetic Rugby League. In this video I'm going to be giving you my predictions for round 1 of the Rugby League World Cup, which starts today, and what a game we have to open up, so let's get started. Now the first game of this World Cup is going to be insane, or at least I hope it is anyway. These two teams are pretty evenly matched. If you look at the spines, if you look at the experience on the England side, it's a fairly young Samoan team, but some of the English players do already have NRL experience and or are good enough to hang in the NRL. It's going to be close, but I think the size of the Samoans in the forwards and the quality of the Penrith Panthers backs in Samoa and their chemistry on top of it is going to be just too much. So I'm going to say England 22, Samoa 24. The second game of day 1 is Australia versus Fiji. This could get seriously ugly. Seriously ugly. Really, really bad. Don't have high hopes for Fiji at all. Australia have a pretty light bench, but my thought process there is that they're probably thinking they'll be fine, so we'll just kind of rotate any of the backs. If we need to give Tedesco a break, we can. Put Mitchell at full back. We can move Ben Hunt to the halves, take off Evans or Cherry Evans and Munster, bring on Whiten, Harry Grant. You know, we've got players that can just rotate constantly, make sure there are fresh legs, and they're saving Nathan Cleary. He's not even going to get on the field. So the depth for Australia is just massive. So I'm going to have to go with Australia 64, Fiji 6. Now the next one is the first game tomorrow, and that is Scotland versus Italy. I don't think there's too much that separates the teams. I'm going to look mainly to Ryan Brierley for Scotland to be the difference. So I don't think there's a huge gap between them, but I think there's just more experience and more high level experience on the Scottish team. So I'm going to go with 20-10. After that we have Jamaica versus Ireland. Again, I spoke of just a couple of players on the Jamaican team that could have some impact, but the way that I suggested was you put the best known players on one side, which they haven't done. They've put one of them at fullback, one's at prop, and I think another one is in their main position, but Ireland have a recognisable spine. They have Richie Myler starting at fullback, they have Luke Keary in the halves, and they also have some decent outside players at wing and centre with Super League experience. So I think Ireland's probably going to overpower Jamaica. I don't think it's going to be a touch of class better. I think they're going to overpower them, and it's going to be Jamaica 6, Ireland 30. The final Sunday game is New Zealand versus Lebanon. Now this is also a game that could get very, very ugly. It's going to be quite similar to the Australia-Fiji result with a few differences. I think in terms of depth, New Zealand don't quite have the same level of depth as Australia, so I'll give them less points in that regard. Nobody's played a game yet, so I can't really reference anything else. So I'm going to give New Zealand 56 and Lebanon 10. I think the spine of Lebanon is strong enough to put some points on the board, but 2 tries at most. I think that's all they'll really be able to do against this team. Moving on to the next game, we have France versus Greece. The Greek team is lacking in quality, unfortunately. Aside from Lachlan Ilias, is probably going to be the most important player, as I mentioned in my Greece squad video. France have quality all over. They are missing Theo Farge, who wasn't part of their team. I really thought he was going to be part of the squad, but I didn't even think of him at the time making the video. But France have quality everywhere. I don't think it'll be a result that's so far away. I think it's going to be a clear-cut victory, but not so ridiculous. So I'm going to go with a France win of 28 and Greece 6. Another cracking game in this tournament is Tonga versus Papua New Guinea. I'm very much looking forward to this game. I'm going to definitely watch it if I can, or at least watch the full game if I can't watch it live. We all know about these guys. Tonga, the forwards are massive, lacking slightly in the spine. That's my only concern for them long term in the World Cup. Papua New Guinea, as I mentioned in my squad video for them, constantly give 150%. They're not going to give up, and they have some quality wide players that can certainly put some points on the board. I think Tonga is going to be too strong for them to handle, so I'm going to go with a somewhat respectable score: Tonga 36, Papua New Guinea 14. And that brings us on to the final game, which is Wales versus Cook Islands. Now, for me, I don't think there are too many differences in these teams, but the few things I could look at are players like Masters in the halves for Cook Islands is going to be extremely strong and skillful, quality player that Wales might not be able to deal with, and players like Anthony Gelling have been quality in Super League within the last decade, so those two players should be enough to make the difference for me. Everyone else is somewhat equal on both teams, yet the Cook Islands players will have come through the Australian systems and other island nation systems compared to the British systems, which just won't be as good. So I'm going to lean in favour of Cook Islands, with Wales getting 12 and Cook Islands 18. So there you have my round 1 predictions for the Rugby League World Cup. I'm only going to be tracking the winners and the results, not the specific scores. So I have Samoa, Australia, Scotland, Ireland, New Zealand, France, Tonga and Cook Islands all winning in round 1. We'll see how that goes. There are 61 games at this tournament. I'm hoping for at least 31. That's the target, so at least just above half. And if I can get into the high 30s, maybe even 40s, I'll take that. But that's going to be it for this video. If you have any of your own predictions, leave them in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with new content. You can also follow the social media accounts in the description down below. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.